You thought that you could have it all, and life could be a ball. Well, you fell and scabbed your knee. Now you can be free.
Hi, and welcome to the Recovering CEO podcast. This is Derek Mehraban. I'm the Recovering CEO, and it's a beautiful Monday in August 2022. Thanks for being here. I'm recording in my new basement office. Gave up my downtown office, moved home, which works fine. Been a lot of new things happening, for the Recovering CEO. I'm working at a detox center here in Ann Arbor, alcohol and drug rehab center, which has been great as a counselor, and I'm enjoying that, helping people get sober and get straight after, dealing with drug and alcohol addiction. I'm also starting my master's in social work at the University of Michigan, which is pretty cool as well. As many of you know, I went to Michigan State. I'm a big Spartan fan, but I am going to get my master's from Michigan, which is kind of cool. I mean, I live in Ann Arbor. Why not, right? Why not? And this weekend, I just celebrated 26 years of sobriety, 26 years sober from drugs and alcohol. So that's kind of a big deal. 26 years. I just turned 50. So yeah, I've been sober for longer than I've been alive. Yeah, well, I don't know. I don't know how that works, but I got sober when I was 24, right? So sober for more than half my life. How about that? And it's good to be sober. I just wanted to do a podcast today, kind of reflections on 26 years sober. What's it been like? And, share some experience, strength, and hope. We're starting to get some more listeners. I'm starting to dedicate more time to this podcast, kind of dialing back some of my digital marketing work, which is fine. And I'm also going to shift. I want to shift and do some services for business that relates more to recovery. One of the reasons I'm doing the Recovering CEO is to help people in business who are struggling with addiction kind of get right and really grow your business, because I think that if you're sober, you're going to be much more successful. And so I'm doing that, but also getting this master's in social work, kind of upping my personal work in recovery by being a counselor at a detox and drug rehab center has been very, very interesting, and I just, honestly, I love it. I get to drive the bus to the meetings. We got a big 15-passenger van, and I drive people to meetings, and we play music, and we drive, and everyone's just, it's a moment of happiness for all the people that are newly sober and going to a meeting, and it's happiness for me too, because when I am serving others and when I'm in a state of service and helping others, there's a really small chance that I'm going to act out, right? I'm not going to go to my drug of choice when I'm helping others. And the number one thing that's a recommendation when you're struggling and when you're thinking about drinking, picking up a drug, doing anything that's going to change the way you feel or help you kind of numb and escape from your life, service work is the number one thing you can do. Help somebody out. Just go over to them and say, hey, man, how can I help you? I notice you're really working hard, and I have some time on my hands. What can I do that would make your life easier? Pick up the phone, call somebody, right? Call my mom, call my aunt, my godmother. Just call somebody, pick up the phone. That's hard to do sometimes, and let them know that I'm doing okay and check how they're doing. There's real power in that. I think, I can either, in my life, I can either move towards a drink or away from a drink, okay? That's a simple way of looking at it. So every action I take can either take me towards a drink or away from a drink. And there's some other ways to look at that, okay? I can do something that is self-centered and something that'll make me feel good or like immediately affect my pleasure right now. Or I can do something that's maybe other-centered, right? Helping someone else. What's going to make someone else feel good? And living in Ann Arbor, I see a lot of people. I had an office downtown. I still do currently, but I'm getting rid of it. But, I walk around going to Ruse Roast, going to Madras Masala, my favorite Indian place, and I see all the people on the side of the street. And in Ann Arbor, they actually sell these newspapers. And the newspapers have stories written by homeless people about homeless people. And it's actually really nice. And in order to be able to distribute the newspapers, you have to be sober. You have to be, kind of working the program and doing the right things. And so there's really nice people, and they accept donations for the newspaper. It's a $2 donation. I don't always buy one, but I often do, and sometimes I'll give more, 5 or 10, depending. And, this is a good way for these people to kind of support themselves and do something that is a service to the community, not just begging, and I don't know. I like helping others in this capacity, I'm not trying to brag. I'm just saying this is one way to do it. When I was a drug addict and an alcoholic, when I was acting in my addiction, I was really taking from society, right? I really wasn't giving too much. I was taking. And now that I'm sober, and even though I've been 26 years sober, it's still my job to make things right. And it's still my job to make deposits in the karma, wheel of life type thing. I need to be better than just normal. I need to help others at a higher rate. I need to do more service. I need to donate my time. And if I have money, I need to donate my money and help others. And that's it. To make up for all the harm that I caused when I was using and when I was in my addiction. And you could say, well, shoot, you only used drugs and alcohol for 4 years. You've been 26 years sober. It's like, it doesn't matter. This is a way of life and attitude of gratitude. I never want to use drugs and alcohol again. And it's not just drugs and alcohol. We've talked about this. There's lots of different ways that I could essentially slowly kill myself, right? Overeating, smoking, acting out sexually in ways that are going to get me in trouble, gambling, buying too much, purchasing things. All these things have the potential to get me high, and all of them, are sometimes okay in small doses, but in large doses will kill me. The alcoholic is an extreme example of self-will run riot, though he doesn't think so. And I always say that alcohol recovery, right? So recovery, sobriety, one of the greatest gifts I get in sobriety is the gift of awareness. And for me, it was awareness that, you know what, Derek, you're an alcoholic. You're a drug addict. You can't act like you are acting. You can't do that anymore. So today I'm aware when and I like to look at mobile homes, right? I like to look at like the RVs, the RVs that you drive around, and I really like those camper vans that are customized, and those things are 150,000 up to a few $1 million, and I look at them and I obsess about them and I look for good deals, and imagine going on road trips with the dogs and this and that, and it's all good, it's all great, but it is a distraction. I do have work I could be doing instead of, looking at those mobile homes or looking at new vacation properties that I don't have the money to buy, that are on the ocean or on Lake Michigan. I also do this with cars. I obsess about cars. Lately, I've been looking at electric cars. I just had to take a couple of deposits off of 2 Rivians. I reserved the truck. I reserved the SUV because, of course, I would like them. But it would take about a year or so, maybe more, to get them. And they cost around $100,000. So do I really need that? Not necessarily, especially when I'm about to go back to school for my master's, especially when I just kind of dialed back my business, I need to stay focused, and I need to record more podcasts. I really want this podcast to help you. If you're thinking about if you think you might be an alcoholic or a drug addict, if you think that your behavior is out of bounds and it's causing trouble in your life, then maybe listen to my podcast. Maybe this will help you, because I have been sober. I've been sober 26 years from alcohol. It's around 26 and a half years sober from all drugs, But I'll tell you, when I quit smoking pot and doing drugs, when I quit that, my drinking skyrocketed. And my drinking also started giving me the same psychotic thoughts that the drugs were giving me. and it scared the heck out of me. I started blacking out. I had seizures. I started really going off the rails with the alcohol, and it scared me, and eventually I quit. August 13th, 1996, I took my last drink at a Fish show, and it was actually, I had a few beers before the show, walking around on Shakedown Street. I went into the show with my good buddy Jeremy, and I wanted to buy a hemp necklace, right? So really pretty hemp necklace with a glass bead. It was $10. I only had a 20. So I went and bought two $5 beers, right? That was back when beers were $5. They're a lot more now. Two $5 beers so I could buy the hemp necklace and drank that last beer. And then during the opening song, August 13th, 1996, Divided Sky, we were in the middle of the lawn. This was back when I was still sitting on the lawn. I try and buy pavilion seats now, I guess because I have more money. And the lawn's a little crazy. And I had to go to the bathroom in the middle of the first song of the Fish show. Not the best time to go to the bathroom. I had to walk really far. It's like far to the bathroom. And go to the bathroom, and I missed a lot of that song. And I think it's kind of ironic because Trey Anastasio of Fish actually named his foundation the Divided Sky Foundation. And he started the foundation to help people recover from drugs and alcohol addiction. He started the treatment center in Vermont, and Trey Anastasio is the lead singer and guitarist of Fish. He's one of my heroes. He's an incredibly talented musician, gifted person, very nice guy. I've never met him. I did meet Mike Gordon and John Fishman after the New Year's Eve 1995 show. This was before I got sober. It was actually during my last hurrah. I was on acid, tripping balls backstage at Madison Square Garden. And I met them, and I explained to Mike Gordon some of my crazy ideas. And, he just kind of laughed and said, yeah, and went to talk to the next person because I was crazy, crazy. And, but so anyways, so my last drink was, caused me to have to go to the bathroom during that song. And then we went back to the campground, and this was back when I used to camp, right before I spent money on hotels. We walked back to the campground, and there was drum circles and bonfires, and everyone was just whooping it up, drinking, smoking down, doing drugs, whatever, And I had already been sober from marijuana for 6 months, so I didn't want to smoke any, even though there was lots of joints being passed. And I didn't buy any alcohol that day. We went to the party store. I didn't buy any alcohol. So I had nothing to drink. And, I was there with my friend Jeremy. We each had our own tent. And, I looked around. There was lots of pretty women. There was lots of people having fun. And I just was alone, just totally alone, And so I crawled into my tent, zipped it up, and just curled up into a little ball. And it felt awful, and I could feel right in my gut. I could feel this pulling that I really wanted to drink, and I really wished I had alcohol. And I just kind of rocked myself to sleep, fell asleep. And again, that was August 13th, 1996. And I held on to that sobriety date. When I got back from, these Fish shows, I started going to regular AA meetings, and I committed to it. Before that, I was going to an occasional AA meeting. And I was actually trying Artists Anonymous. I was trying all these different anonymous programs. And I finally committed. I committed to Alcoholics Anonymous, and I said, hey, you know what? I'm an alcoholic. I can't afford to do drugs or alcohol because I have an allergy. And when I do it, I can't stop. And drugs and alcohol were causing me huge problems. They caused me to, it took me 6 years to graduate at Michigan State University. I barely graduated. I was a full-blown alcoholic for most of my college career. I didn't go to class. I went to a couple classes I liked, and eventually I started going a little bit just so I could graduate. But, I looked at my transcript a few months ago when I was applying for my master's in social work at Michigan, and it was kind of sad. I did pretty bad my first semester, around a 2 point. Did bad again my second semester. My third semester, I got a 1.5, and then after that, I almost spent 2 years on academic probation. I would get kicked out at the holidays. I would talk my way back in. I joined a fraternity. I completely dropped out of school for a while and just lived in the fraternity house. It was pretty bad, and luckily I held on, and I just thought I used to make bad choices, that I made bad choices to go out to the bar, on a Monday night or a Tuesday night or a Sunday night, or I made bad choices to smoke marijuana all the time or to never go to class. I didn't think that I was an addict or an alcoholic. I didn't even really know what that word was. I found people that I could hang out with who also did drugs all the time and drank all the time, and it was normal. It was normal. I also kind of dove into my fraternity and just did that. It was everything to avoid, numb, and escape. Everything to avoid, numb, and escape. And I really missed out on a lot of the college experience. I remember I'm a huge Michigan State football and basketball fan right now. I love Michigan State sports. I love the Michigan State Spartans. And I had football tickets my freshman year. Went to a couple of games. But then I started feeling like different and that I didn't have good friends to go and just didn't make the effort. And I just stopped going. I wasn't up that early. I wasn't up by noon on Saturday. I wasn't up by 3 o'clock on Saturday, It was just no way to live. I remember I used to wake up at 1:45 on most school days, just in time to go down to get lunch before they close. And then I would spend the afternoon, fucking around, and it was crazy. It was crazy, and that was when I lived in the dorm. Once I got out of the dorm, I just started smoking pot every day, all day, and that didn't go too well. So, sorry, someone just got home. My dog is barking like crazy upstairs, so if you can hear that. But, but I've come a long way from then. I've come a long way. Like I said, it's been 26 years. I've now been married 23 years. I have an amazing wife. I have 2 amazing daughters. One's in college at Michigan State. One's going to be a senior in high school. I have 2 dogs who follow me around, and they love me. And, it's man's best friend. They really are man's best friend. They love me, and I treat them well, because I'm not in my addiction today. I'm able to care for them, right? I'm able to be a good father for my kids. I'm able to be a loving spouse and love and support my wife. I've been able to earn a living, make money over these last 26 years, and it hasn't always been perfect. I run a business for a long time. Before that, I worked in advertising and marketing. I've done sales. I'm very capable, but I do struggle. I still struggle even as a recovering, and you could say recovered alcoholic. I still struggle, because I don't know. I'm an addict. I have an addictive personality. I'm not perfect. Work is sometimes difficult for me, and that's one of the reasons I change the work I do, because I want to do something that I love. I'm certainly very good at advertising and marketing, but a lot of the stuff I have to do is small bullshit work that I don't like doing. I like doing big stuff, and it's not always possible to do that. Clients don't always want to pay for that. I don't always have the ability to do that. So shift my work, and you might think it's small work to be a counselor or to help people recover from drugs and alcohol addiction. It's not. It's rewarding, and when I was in college, I wanted to be an international businessman, travel the world, do all these crazy things, and I still like travel, but, I never want to wear a tie again. I don't like sitting in long meetings with companies and kissing their ass and telling them this and that. And I hate all that, but I would like to be a therapist, and I would like to help people who are struggling with drug and alcohol addiction and people who are struggling with relationships, Over these last 26 years, I've developed some skills, right? I've stayed sober. I've learned what it takes to stay sober. I've been through hard times, and I've stayed sober. I've been through good times, and I've stayed sober. And a lot of my friends have gotten sober, and I've seen a lot of people die from their addiction. I've raised a family. Life has changed, and here I am at age 50, and I have a different perspective, and I can be more helpful, and I can do more, and I have the ability to do that. Luckily, I have a wife with a good, steady job that allows me to make a career shift like this. Thank you, honey, if you're listening. I don't think she listens to this. But I've got a lot to be grateful for. I'm grateful for my parents. As some of you know, I was adopted. I was adopted at a young age. I have a twin brother. He's been very successful. The trauma of adoption affects everyone differently. Did it make me an alcoholic? I don't know. But I definitely have that gene. And there's alcoholism in my family. There's alcoholism in my past and drug addiction. Addiction has killed a large number of my family, my biological family. It takes you out. It takes them out. It kills them. And it's part of my job I was adopted, right? So I was raised in a loving family by parents who were not alcoholics. They still might have a difficult past or trauma or difficult, parents or maybe some alcoholism in their past, but they didn't give that to me, and they raised me very well, cared for me very well. And, now they're two of my best friends, and they're my parents, and it's like a gift. And, I'm very grateful to them. And, but it's part of my job to break this cycle. I've met both my biological parents. My biological mom is gone now. She died from cancer. My biological dad is still alive. He's a great guy. We went to a concert together recently. And my biological mom was great too, but alcoholism runs in their family. My biological dad is sober, 30 some years. There is alcoholism and addiction everywhere. So if you're suffering from it, or if you know someone who suffers from it, or if you know someone that needs help, pass this podcast along. Take a minute. We talk about being of service. If you want to take a minute and write a review, I would greatly appreciate it. If you could subscribe to my podcast, subscribe to my YouTube channel, I'd appreciate it. It's tough to launch a podcast. And this is like my 35th episode. I've been doing this for around 8 months now. So I'm doing okay. I'm going to do better. But I do appreciate you all who listen. I hope you are getting sober. I hope you're building your life. And I hope you're building up some gratitude and helping others. And so that's my reflections on 26 years of sobriety from the recovering CEO. Maybe I'll do more tomorrow. But I appreciate you if you listen to this. I love you. Remember, we're going to love you until you learn to love yourself. All right? So please share this, retweet it, leave a review, and or leave a comment. Let me know how you're doing. Let me know if you're struggling. And let me know if you're doing okay. All right? God bless. Thanks for listening to The Recovering CEO. Have a great day, and we'll see you next time. Thank you.
You thought that you could have it all, and life could be a ball, but you fell and scabbed your knee.